current technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. A whirlwind of NFL contract agreements today, two of them for quarterbacks. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Sam Darnold will get a 3-year, $100.5 million contract with the Seahawks. Justin Fields will sign a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Jets. Other contracts, the Cardinals will sign former Eagles edge rusher Josh Sweat. The Bills will sign former Chargers wideout Joshua Palmer. The Lions will sign corner DJ Reed. The Buccaneers will sign defensive end Hassan Reddick. Elsewhere, corner J.C. Horn will re-sign with the Panthers. 4 years, $100 million, $70 million guaranteed. That's the biggest money ever for a defensive back. D lineman B.J. Hill will stay with the Bengals. Linebacker Khalil Mack will re-sign with the Chargers on a 1-year deal. The next automatic bid in the women's NCAA tournament comes from the Sun Belt title game. They're in overtime right now on ESPN2. Arkansas State leads James Madison 77-71.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, NFL free agency is off and running, and I'll give you my top 5 favorite moves so far. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right. Woo!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. NFL tampering, legal tampering, going down right now. We got a Big Ten spring update. Luch is here in hour number 3. Tigers sweep. Football Tigers on the practice field. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Wednesday, the NFL league year begins. Monday, the tampering period, the legal tampering period opened, and we didn't have to wait long for the Saints to be involved. A good time to start to sort of recap and catch us up with everything that's gone on. Ross Jackson jumps aboard as we start the show. LouisianaSports.net and Locked On Saints. How are you, man?
Hey, dude, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, what a day for Twitter to go down, right? No biggie.
Yeah, I know,
just like
right?
one of the biggest news days of the NFL calendar. Hey, let's start with let's just go chronologically here from Monday and start with the news about Davon Godchaux. The former LSU Tiger is going to be a New Orleans Saint. Tell us how it came together.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big move for New Orleans. I know it's not, the big, tens of millions of dollars, contracts and record-breaking things and stuff like that. But this is a nice move for New Orleans. So they wanted to find a 3-tech style defensive tackle that can kind of, change the numbers in the middle, be a big physical presence there. And Godchaux absolutely provides that. He was a 4-year starter with the New England Patriots, 17 games in each of those 4 years, has been durable and has been somebody that would check the box in terms of what it is that the Saints were looking for. And they get him due to, in minimal risk. They send a 2026 7th-round pick, so a 7th-round pick for next year, to get a guy that should be able to be at the forefront of their scheme changes over on the defensive side.
So as for how he fits in Brandon Staley's defense and what this means for the guys currently on the roster on the defensive line, what does that mean?
Yeah, so you look at him as kind of being a guy that can be a little bit versatile to where he can be the anchor right in the middle of those three-man fronts to where he's nose-to-nose as a nose tackle with the center, for instance, right over the top of the middle of the defense. But he can also be a guy that can operate as what we call a 0 or 1 tech. So that's the guy that lines up either nose-to-nose with the center or right in between the center and guard in those even-man fronts, those four-man fronts. And so we expect that the Saints will be using a lot more of those three-man fronts, but they're still going to have four guys down in the line of scrimmage in obvious passing situations, things like that. Saints want to be able to win games by rushing four. The NFL wants to win games by rushing four. And so where Godchaux fits within all this is the ability to be able to be that lone defensive tackle in the middle, but also when he moves over and there's four guys on the line, drawing double teams and then creating those one-on-one opportunities for those other players on the defensive line. So he'll have a lot of usage, I guess I should say, in any of those fronts, regardless of what the versatility of the New Orleans Saints defense will end up calling for in any game situation.
Okay, and I literally, as you're talking, I just looked in our LouisianaSports.net chat, and I noticed I noticed you have some news about Nathan Shepard, so fill us in there.
Yeah, so Nathan Shepard signing a one-year deal with the Saints, according to Justina Anderson, NFL Insider, and so that's another guy that they're locking down on the interior. Now, he wasn't going to be a free agent here in 2025, but he did have a $7 million cap hit, which included a $4.8 million base salary. The reason why that happened is because he got some player incentive bonuses, not only from the Saints, but from the NFL as a part of their, player program, player performance programs and things like that. So his salary ended up bumping up a bit coming into 2025, even beyond what the Saints had negotiated. So this gives them an opportunity to be able to lessen his hit here in 2025, and then instead of his contract expiring or voiding in 2026, as it was set to do, build some stuff into the future for him. So they get a little bit of an exchange here. They get a guy that's veteran experience and that they like a lot for another year, but then also will likely reduce his salary cap hit here in 2025.
Okay, Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, Locked on Saints podcast, busy day here in the NFL. The Saints have already lost as well one of their free agents with Paulson Adebo. Can you fill us in on what we know here? Because I know, Ross, there were conflicting numbers as far as what's going on with Adebo.
Yeah, so the original report was that he signed with the New York Giants on $10 million per year of a deal over the course of 3 years. But now it's looking like that's actually more of an $18 million per year deal, upwards of $54 million in terms of the total. Now, what we don't know is if that is there's these contracts that are agreed upon that are $18 million per year, and then there are the contracts that are agreed upon that are up to $18 million per year. So it could be that the base level of the contract is indeed $10 million per year, but there's incentives like player availability and, postseason appearances, player performance, and things like that could potentially tick him up. So maybe that's where the discrepancy is that it might be an incentive-heavy contract. So we'll wait to see what more details are. But the impact for New Orleans is big because now, since the trade deadline last year, both of their starting corners since Adebo was drafted years ago are now no longer here in New Orleans. So that does mean that you're looking at a changing of the guard of what the outside of that New Orleans Saints defense looks like.
Ross, what should we look for in terms of what is in the immediate short term here in this league year for the Saints?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you're looking at is to watch them continue to address the changing prototypes and roles over on the defensive side. So going out there and searching for more free agents that might be able to be those stand-up edge rushers, as well as be those off-ball linebackers that are kind of tasked to do some things that are differently. I think you're kind of looking towards, like, what's your depth behind Demario Davis and Pete Werner, for instance. Beyond that, of course, they could continue to invest on the defensive line, which I would certainly expect. And then I'd watch for a name like Asante Samuel Jr., who Brandon Staley drafted in the second round years ago with the Los Angeles Chargers. He's a free agent. He could be a good fit for New Orleans and Brandon Staley's defense as they lose Paulson Adebo here this offseason. On the offensive side, I think a lot of it is going to be trying to shore up your offensive line, waiting to see if maybe the big splash signing that they make ends up happening on the offensive line, which is a spot that makes sense with a new starter needed at left guard. So those are kind of the positions that I would watch out for the most, and I expect that they'll continue to address and add talent to their wide receiver and tight ends rooms as well.
maybe no surprise, as we all expected that this was going to come to pass. The Saints do, in fact, restructure Derek Carr's contract. So tell us what we need to know with respect to the Carr restructure and what that means for the Saints here in this offseason.
Yeah, there's kind of three big things that this tells you. The first of which is kind of the biggest thing, which is that Derek Carr is expected to be the starting quarterback in 2025. We've kind of known that would be the case. That's what Mickey Lomas and Kellen Moore and others told us in Indianapolis. But the restructure just kind of solidifies that. The second piece to this is that, people want to know, what does this mean for the future at quarterback? I don't think that committing to Derek Carr here in 2025 means that this team precludes itself from being able to go out there excludes itself from being able to go out there and sign or rather draft even a young quarterback if there is a place where that value makes sense. So I don't think that it closes the door on that. And then the second thing is, what does this mean? Or the third thing is, what does this mean for the Saints moving into 2026? Restructuring him here in 2025 does not marry you to him in 2026. It would probably necessitate a post-June 1 release if the two were to part ways after this season. That would end up putting $19 million of dead cap as opposed to $59 million of dead cap in 2026. So that would be a big move to watch for after the season. But I think the Saints are going to focus on seeing what they can do at the position now during this year in terms of building around Derek Carr and trying to find some success here in 2025.
All right, Ross Jackson. Of course, you can read it all for free at LouisianaSports.net. Make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On Saints podcast as well. You can hear and read Ross for free every single day, so be sure to check it out. I'll let you go get to the Nathan Shepard news now so that you can get up on the website ASAP and we can start to get those clips.
You got it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bud. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
All right, that's Ross Jackson. It's after further review. I want to get to a ton of this as we move throughout the course of the show today. Of course, our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. I mean, when you talk about this time of year, crawfish boil season, boiling with buds is the best thing you could possibly do. Actually, went to a crawfish boil yesterday, had my Bud Lights. So, Bud and boils, awesome way to go about it, and baseball as well. So, you're going to be out the box. If you're boiling, make sure you got your buds. Bud Light, drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of AFR. I got a lot I want to talk about. I am going to get my thoughts in later in the show on the trade for Davon Godchaux, on Paulson Adebo getting out of town, on the Derek Carr restructure. And I'm not going to – let me rephrase that. I don't plan to yell and scream about the Derek Carr restructure. How y'all know sometimes I get rolling and just what happens. But I think we all knew this was going to happen. But now that it has happened, the net effect financially of another restructure is something that now I can very clearly show you why this is a terrible decision. For those who continue to insist that, well, Derek Carr is not your biggest problem. I understand that. And I've never, not once ever sat here and said Derek Carr is your biggest problem, ever. What I've consistently said is he's got a low ceiling, high floor. You're never going to win big with Derek Carr. And the problem you have is the financial commitment you've made to a player with a low ceiling is what is going to preclude you from being able to compete at the highest level. And that's the reality the Saints are facing for at least now 2 more years. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Football Tigers hit the practice field for the first time in spring on Saturday. No media availability. However, I was able to get some little tidbits. We'll share those with you as we continue. It's AFR.
After further review.
I almost said Locked on LSU. But you should go subscribe to the Locked on LSU podcast. I'd appreciate it greatly. Hey, get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. What a great time to go check out Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. As love telling you so much about the G team all the time. But another really cool thing, Gordon has launched their podcast studio called The Garage. So if you want to check it out, they've done an amazing job doing sit-downs with Gordon and members of the G team and other really cool one-on-ones. Like recently, Gordon sat down with members of the LSU women's basketball team, including Michaela Williams and Flau'jae Johnson. So you can check that out in The Garage. Just go to YouTube, or you can get the links through any of Gordon's social medias. Go to @GetGordon on any of the social media channels. Of course, it's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured, you know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Registration for the VEX European Bracket Challenge is now open. You can start registering now at 1045ESPN.com, and then be sure to come back and get your picks in after the first games are announced this Selection Sunday. The person with the most accurate picks this year will win $1,000 cash.
You can also go to LouisianaSports.net. If you go to the homepage of the website at LouisianaSports.net, you'll see, thank you, Paulie, there it is right there if you're watching. It's the banner at the top of the page, the Bracket Challenge, VEX European Bracket Challenge. You just tap, and it'll bring you right to the login site where you can enter. So, again, you're going to want to make your picks whenever the field is announced, but you can go enter right now. I was also told we'll have a grand prize. It's $1,000 cash, but we will also have prizes specifically for Sweet 16 and Final Four. So if your bracket gets busted the first day, fear not. You're going to have a second and third chance to win as well. So go register right now. You're going to fill out a bracket anyway. Play in our bracket challenge. It's free to do so. Just go to LouisianaSports.net. You'll see the VEX European Bracket Challenge there at the top of the homepage. LSU hit the practice field for the first time in spring on Saturday. No media availability. Tigers are back out there today. As a matter of fact, the media doesn't have our first availability until Wednesday. So we'll get to go see a little bit of practice on Wednesday, and then Brian Kelly will meet with reporters after practice on Wednesday. But one of the things that was interesting from Saturday is, of course, LSU issued an updated roster before spring practice, and one of the newcomers did not have a jersey number, and that was Josh Thompson. So the offensive lineman out of Northwestern. So I started asking around a little bit, doing a little digging, and we reported this over the weekend at LouisianaSports.net. It turns out Josh Thompson is still in Evanston. He's Northwestern offensive lineman transfer. He's still in Evanston because Northwestern is on a quarters system. So their quarter, instead of semesters, their quarter doesn't end until March 21st. So that's a week from Friday. So whenever their quarter ends on March 21st, then he will come join his new teammates at LSU. So as it maps out, he'll be able to participate in about half of the practices this spring. So he'll miss about half of spring practice, and he'll be here for the second half of spring practice. It'll be 7 or 8 practices that he'll be able to participate in. And in the meantime, when they were out there for the first day, the first offensive line, again, there was no media access, so I'm just relying on people who were there, just share information and pass information. No big surprise, but Tyree Adams was your left tackle. Paul Mabinga was your left guard. Remember, that's how they lined up in the bowl game. Mabinga, of course, from the Alabama game on, started in place of the injured Garrett Dellinger. Braylon Moore, the Virginia Tech transfer at center, was running first-team center. And then DJ Chester, who, of course, started all 13 games at center a year ago, was playing right guard. Now, we've talked about DJ Chester a good bit. He was, and you hate to say it this way, but Chester was your weakest link on the offensive line a year ago. He's a young player who was also playing out of position. He's a natural guard who was playing center and was playing that position and starting for the first time. But he's got 13 games of starting experience now, so moving him with that experience to his more natural position, I think is going to be a huge benefit. So Chester was your first-team right guard, and then Weston Davis was your first-team right tackle, the former 5-star, who got to play a lot in the bowl game as well. The others that were rotating, Bo Bordelon was rotating in there pretty heavily, as was, Carius Kern. And that's one that I think we should all be real excited about. Kern finished as a 5-star, as we well know, and boy, he is a unit. If you saw the pictures that LSU released over the weekend from practice, 6'5", 335 is what they have him registered at, and he looks the part. Like Brian Kelly, when he talked about Kern being physically ready to play, like he looks the part. I mean, we'll see if that translates, and then when you're going against, 20, 21, 22-year-old interior defensive lineman, if he's able to hold up, and then the speed of the game and everything. But just physically, yeah, it looks the part. And for whatever it's worth, Brian Kelly talked about, this was back at the beginning of February, about the competition on the offensive line in the spring, because while Moore is slotted in at center, I mentioned you have Kern coming in, you have Solomon Thomas coming in as well, the 5-star who flipped from Florida State to LSU on signing day. The guys that I just mentioned, that eventually you'll have Josh Thompson coming in that mix as well. And guys, really, if you assume Moore and Thompson, the 2 transfers, are going to be starting, well, then you've got all those other guys I mentioned, Adams, Mabinga, Chester, Davis, Bordelon, Kern, all those guys. Cohen Eccles, by the way, is someone I shouldn't leave out because Eccles, as I understand, rotated in there with the 2s as well at center. That's 7 or 8 guys vying for those other 3 spots. So you should have some really, really staunch competition here in the spring on the offensive line.
We can start with, in the portal, Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson will be 2 that will be part of that mix in the spring. But it's important to point out that, there's going to be great competition. And you saw that in the bowl game, how really if you look across the board, Miles Frazier is the only player that does not return in that unit. So all of those guys will get the opportunity to compete, plus the 2 that I've mentioned that were starters both at Virginia Tech and Northwestern. We think that makes for a very competitive spring.
Now, it would be a massive upset if Braylon Moore doesn't win the starting center job. I think we're all assuming that's going to happen. That's a multi-year starter, an all-conference caliber player from Virginia Tech, the top center in the portal. You identified that as a real need. You went and got the best guy in the portal. That's why the first day of spring, he was out there running with the ones at center. Okay, it would be an upset if he doesn't win that job. Thompson is a little more curious because while he is a guy they are anticipating starting, and this is a multi-year starter, at Northwestern. He played 761 snaps in 2023, played 646 snaps this past year in 2024. He started at both tackle and at guard. They would love, they meaning LSU staff, would love it if Adams, Davis, Bordelon, some combination of these really highly rated guys that you've recruited out of high school and developed, if those guys win the starting tackle jobs, so Thompson could play guard, which is where they think he's probably better. But if you have to play him at tackle, they will. Think bowl game where we saw Miles Frazier. You just heard Brian Kelly mention it. Frazier, who was a tackle at FIU, came to LSU. He played right guard where he started for 3 years. But in the bowl game, after both of your starting tackles, Will Campbell and Emory Jones were gone, they moved Miles Frazier out to tackle for the bowl game. So if out of necessity, they would move Thompson to right tackle, but that would not be ideal. They would prefer him to play right guard and have one of these guys emerge at right tackle. For whatever it's worth, when you look at the Pro Football Focus grades from Thompson in his career, he went from a 55, total offensive grade of 55 in 2022 to a 58.5 in 2023 to a 73.1. That would have put him right there among LSU's highest rated offensive linemen last year. So and he had a pass block rate of 80, a run block rate of 73.4. So he would have been, right there with Campbell and Miles Frazier and Dellinger as your highest rated offensive lineman this past season. So that's what they're hoping. You get a guy that's a plug-and-play starter who's played a ton of football, who hopefully can slot in on the inside there with Braylon Moore, be real formidable between the tackles. So something to follow. A couple of other quick notes. And again, I'm just repeating, there was no media availability, so I'm not telling you anything that I saw with my own eyes. I'm just passing along notes that were shared with me from people that I deem credible that were at practice. There were the three. There was no Colin Hurley at practice, which I don't think that's any surprise, right? I mean, Hurley had the unfortunate car accident. Brian Kelly told us he was back home in Jacksonville going through a rehabilitation. So I don't think anyone anticipated he was going to be at spring, but he wasn't. So your three quarterbacks were Nussmeier, Michael Van Buren, and Juwan Johnson, who's converted from running back to quarterback here in the spring. And then a couple of other things that I found interesting when you look at the secondary. Was told that the ones at corner were Ashton Stamps and Mansour Delane. That was one of the questions that I have throughout spring is, does Mansour Delane, who's primarily a boundary corner at Virginia Tech last year, does he play boundary corner or does he kick back and play safety? Well, a lot of that depends on maybe some of the development of guys like DJ Pickett or Jakeem Jackson at one of the corners. And then at safety, your starters were Tamarcus Cooley, the NC State transfer, and Javen Toviano. They at least got the first snap. And I think it's worth mentioning, and I don't mean to belabor the point, it's the first reps of the first day of spring. It is such a long way to go before you get to the opener against Clemson. It's a long way to go before you even get to the first day of fall camp. So somebody had to run out there with the first group on the first day, and so they did. And so we'll just continue to watch that, how it evolves over your month of spring drills before they get to April 12th with the spring game in Tiger Stadium. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Know a lot of people were running around last week, Disney, going skiing, wherever you might have been. If you put some mileage on the vehicle, on those tires this past week during Mardi Gras, our friends at Shaw Bills can help you out. Remember, name brand tires at wholesale prices. They guarantee that. Buy tires at Shaw Bills. You find those tires advertised cheaper somewhere else, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. They're going to get you the best price possible on the best tires on the road. Michelin, BF Goodrich, Bridgestone, Firestone, all of them at Shaw Bills. And, of course, they treat you like family. They'll keep you coming back year after year after year. Like, if you have damage to a tire, they will repair your tire for free, even if you didn't buy the tire at Shaw Bills. Why? Because 57 years ago when they opened the place, Mr. Charlie said that's just the right thing to do. It's part of their customer bill of rights, and the Charlies doesn't. They treat people right, which is why you keep coming back year after year after year. Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, glad to have you aboard with us here on this Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. We got so much to do. Tiger baseball got a sweep over the weekend. I'll delve into the LSU North Alabama series takeaways in 30 minutes. So as we start hour number 2. Last week, we took a look at we're kind of taking a tour of spring football in the Power Four. So last week, our buddy Jake Crane was here. We talked SEC spring storylines. We also talked to our buddy Ari Temkin from who covers the Big 12, formerly of SiriusXM, now of TuneIn. But anyway, we talked Big 12 storylines. Today, Adam Rittenberg from ESPN will be with us in about 45 minutes. Big 10, which is one of the last two national championships now with Michigan and Ohio State. What are the big storylines in the Big 10 here? It's always interesting, because you play the championship game, and the playoff goes, you play the championship game, and then we kind of distance ourselves for 6 weeks or so from football, and then you jump back into it, and you remember, there's a new coach there. They're replacing a quarterback, and there's a big-name transfer. So we'll jump into some of that with Adam Rittenberg next hour. David Dellucci in hour number 3. I mean, we got a ton to do. We are just loaded up. So kick up your feet. If you're driving, just turn up the radio. Be safe wherever you're getting there. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. If you're watching on YouTube, please smash that like button and subscribe to the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. We appreciate y'all for being there. Okay, quick break. We'll go around the SEC next.
After further review.
If you got any issues with your HVAC system, our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air can help. And a couple of things that I love most about River City's 1 Hour Air. It's always the service. Look, they're going to do great work. But when I call River City's 1 Hour Air, I talk to a person. I mean, we have all, I don't care who you are, we have all experienced this, where you call a business and you get an answering service. When you call 752-0001, you're not going to get an automated message saying, please press 1, please press 2. When you call 752-0001, a human is going to answer the phone. They work nights, holidays, weekends. They never charge you extra for nights, holidays, weekends. You're always going to get a person. When a technician's coming to your house, you'll get a call, an email, and a text alerting you the technician's on the way. They'll send you the name of the technician, a photo of the technician, and reviews of that technician so you know exactly who's coming into your home so you can feel comfortable with your family. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
I'll go around the SEC here in just a quick second. The LSU men's team lost to Texas A&M on Saturday. The regular season's over. One more game, and mercifully the season will end, and then they can decide on what they're going to try to be at some point in the future. The women beat Florida on Friday, then lost to number 1 Texas on Saturday. Texas then, of course, lost to South Carolina in the conference tournament championship game. Kim Mulkey took a leave briefly due to a death in the family, and it returned. Bob Starkey took over primary coaching duties for one of the games. Anyway, of note, Anissa Morrow suffered a foot injury, an aggravation of a foot injury, and Kim Mulkey, after the game on Saturday, gave this update on Anissa Morrow.
Yeah, I just talked to the doctor. Was it maybe the last Texas game? She got stepped on and they put her in a boot because it was bruised. She re-aggravated, this is the medical term I got, she just re-aggravated a mid-foot sprain. She was wearing a boot last week. She'll wear a boot now, but, she's good to go, is my understanding. Okay, so good to go. So remember, Flaugier has missed the last week. They held her out just to get her right with that, whatever they called it. I don't even know what they called it. Anyway, something with her shin or whatever. So they held Flaugier out to get her right here. Now Anissa Morrow will get a little bit of downtime before the NCAA tournament starts. But here was Mulkey updating both Flaugier and Anissa. She can go for the tournament. She was ready to come back out there, and the doctors, no, why would you go out there? Win or lose, we got playoffs hosting, but no. And Flaugier will be back. Yeah, everything's good. I know the NCAA sits there and, they don't have we have everybody.
Okay, so that's obviously talking to the selection committee, because sometimes the selection committee will ding you in your seating if you don't have some of your star players. And look, we saw it with Florida State in football when Jordan Travis got hurt. I remember years ago with Cincinnati when Kenyon Martin broke his leg, and Cincinnati, who would have been a 1 seed, got dinged, and they got bounced as a result. But Kenyon Martin broke his leg in the conference tournament, so they dropped him a few lines on the in the seating. But it's what it is. That's what she's speaking to there. So they're going to have everybody. They'll be good to go. We'll see. Incidentally, I don't know if you noticed, but Kim had a pretty cool sweatshirt on from the Queen of Sparkles, and it looked very familiar because I actually bought my wife the exact same sweatshirt. So I put this on social media. We did a side-by-side. Who wore it better, Muse, Kim or Erica? Who wore it better?
We're going E-Rock.
Got to go, right?
Yeah, we're going E-Rock.
There was about a 30-year age difference between.
Yep.
Well, no, let's see. Oh, I should I? Whatever. And Kim's looks actually. I think Kim's has been washed a few times. I don't know if you can tell necessarily from that, but Erica's pops a little more. I think Kim's maybe it's the lighting, but Kim's
could
looks
be
maybe
the
a little more. It looks a little more faded.
Yeah.
So we were at the. So my wife works at St. Jude's School, and they had their charity auction event a few weeks back. And so in the silent auction, I just bid on like 15 items. Right? You just put your bids in, you see what goes. And I ended up winning this sweatshirt from the Queen. You know what the Queen of Sparkles is?
Yeah, it's a boutique, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think she has like a brick and mortar, but it's her line of clothes that it's everywhere. I mean, it's all of Kim's super loud stuff. That's all Queen of Sparkles. Anyway, so they had a Queen of Sparkles sweatshirt. I am winning it. So Erica got it, and then I'm watching the game the other night, and lo and behold, there's Kim wearing the same thing. So I said, Erica, come on, let's do a side-by-side. So have a little poll. I can't believe there's some people, like some mouth-breathing losers go on Twitter and actually said, like, I said, who wore it better? Some said Kim. Like, come on, man. Like, we're talking about my wife here, who's 25 years younger than Kim Mulkey. I get it, but come on. Anyway, shout out Queen of Sparkles. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging with us here. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Shout out Kim Mulkey as well. Y'all know I love Kim Mulkey. I mean, let's be real. I love my wife, though. All right, shout out to the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com, WilliamsonEye.com. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020, schedule that consultation. Maybe years ago you were told you're not a candidate for LASIK. Well, I was told that for years. Turns out when I went and sat down with Dr. Blake Williamson, an ophthalmologist, I was a perfect candidate for LASIK. Wish I had done it years before. But maybe you had LASIK done years ago, and you've had some other issues. One of the misnomers is people say, LASIK wears off. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. LASIK is changing the shape of your eye. That never wears off. But LASIK only deals with a small percentage of your eye. You could have other parts of your eye continue to age, and so maybe you have other issues. Hester is a great example of this. Jacob Hester had LASIK when he was playing football, and then a few years ago, he had PRK with Dr. Blake Williamson of the Williamson Eye Center. The point being, no matter your age or refractive issue, they have an option so you can see 20/20 without contacts or glasses for your entire life. So you want to ditch the contacts and glasses forever? The Williamson Eye Center has a solution. But you got to call over there, 924-2020. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com. All right, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Texas Longhorns.
Steve Sarkisian gave a list of players who will not be full participant in Texas's spring practice, including C.J. Baxter, Derek Williams, it's a familiar name here, DeAndre Moore, and Colton Vasek. Baxter rushed 138 times, but was lost in 23, was lost for this season with a knee injury, still recovering from that. Moore's injury is not clear. Christian Clark out following his Achilles injury.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Boo Carter started his journey as a two-way player for Tennessee on Monday, playing both DB and wide receiver in spring practice. He was the 6A Mr. Football in Tennessee, played both ways, and he's going to try to give that a go. He was an all-freshman SEC defensive back and punt returner, but now also practicing slot receiver. Josh Heupel said he hasn't determined yet how much Carter will play on offense.
Texas A&M!
Aggies wideout Mario Craver was booked by Texas A&M University Police back on March the 9th for possession of a controlled substance. It was an $8,000 cash bond, which has been posted. The Mississippi State transfer kind of was a bright spot, put together a really nice campaign, freshman campaign for the Bulldogs. Former four-star finished the year with 17 catches for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And Ole Miss guard TJ Caldwell is entering the transfer portal. 6'4 junior from Dallas. He left the program back in November, but didn't announce his intentions, only knowing that he wouldn't play so he could keep a redshirt year. Well, now we know he's entering the transfer portal as a sophomore. Averaged 5 points, 2 boards per game for the Rebels, shooting 31%, played in 32 games. Now Caldwell hitting the transfer portal. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Tell you every single day. Got to see my buddy Brandon Holly and Adrian both on Friday. We're at the Titan Combat Championship MMA fights over at LeBear's. Got to hang out with Brandon and Adrian for a good bit. Not only have they been great sponsors of the show for a long time, they're great friends, great people, and we've been such good friends for a long time. But I always tell you, man, windows are a commodity. There's a lot of places you could buy windows and doors and siding. With Relief Windows, it's why Brandon always says our chief product is customer satisfaction. The way they do it for you is better. The experience you have with their crews, the lifetime transferable warranty. You're going to pay more. They're never going to be the cheapest. They can't. When they provide the level of service they do, the people they employ, the lifetime transferable warranty, all of it, you're going to pay a little more. But you're never going to wonder about the service you get, and they're willing to stand behind their product. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, glad you're hanging out with us here on this Monday edition of AFR. We're not going to break, wrap up hour number 1 when we come back. We do have contract details for Kyle Williams, LSU's new defensive line coach. And quite honestly, I was surprised when I saw the terms of the deal. I'll give you some reaction when we come back to wrap up hour number 1. We'll talk some LSU baseball. Tigers swept North Alabama. That's coming up in 17 minutes from right now. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Turnaround season is here, y'all. You know that. You work in the petrochemical refinery markets. You know, really March to October is turnaround season. So if you don't or have not yet familiarized yourself with the Advanced Turnaround Group, the time is now. The Advanced Turnaround Group, which is an arm of Action Industries. Listen, Action Industries, you know the company that I've been telling you about. Action Industries is a great business servicing the petrochemical and refinery markets, has been since 1982. The Advanced Turnaround Group is an arm of Action Industries, a completely different set of resources specifically for people in the turnaround space. People know Action Industries as a capital project and maintenance work company, this Advanced Industries, the Advanced Turnaround Group, is their turnaround division with 24-hour availability for emergencies, specialty welding, personal attention. It's the Advanced Turnaround Group at Action Industries.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Wrapping up hour number 1. Adam Rittenberg will be here in 30 minutes. ESPN.com covers the Big Ten. We'll look at some of the Big Ten's biggest storylines around that conference in spring. Big Ten's won back-to-back national championships. Can a Big Ten team make it 3 in a row? Talk about some of those big storylines with Adam Rittenberg from ESPN again in 30 minutes from right now. Over the weekend, Wilson Alexander at The Advocate reported terms of Kyle Williams' contract, LSU's new defensive line coach, yet to be confirmed by LSU. And, of course, this contract would have to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. But I think Wilson's probably as good a source as any if you're going to look for things like this. And Wilson reported that Kyle Williams, year 1, will make $700,000. Then it'll go up to $775,000, then $850,000 over the 3 years of his contract at LSU. And I think it might be easy to look at that and say, well, Bo Davis was making $1.25 million, then $1.35, $1.45 were the 3 years of Bo Davis's contract on an escalator. So this is a pretty significant discount from what you were paying Bo Davis. And that's true. That part is true. But Bo Davis got that deal for some very specific reasons. He is arguably the best defensive line coach in the country, technically. He's a great recruiter. And he's been all over the place over the last 25 years in college football and the NFL. He's got a great resume that would warrant it. And he had people here in Baton Rouge sort of, banging the drum to bring him home. Among them, Scott Woodward, Verge Osbury, Frank Wilson, people who've been around this program for a long time that know Bo Davis, love Bo Davis, and wanted to bring him home. So you could shake the right trees and get 1.25 to bring the best defensive line coach in the country home. Not that dissimilar than paying Frank Wilson $1 million a year as your running backs coach, associate head coach, title it however you want. You just see the value, and there's people who understand that person's value specifically to this program, so you bring him home. But the big difference here, even just in the last 13 months from when you hired Bo Davis, 13 months ago to now, is revenue share. And that's something that if you're tired of hearing about it, I don't blame you. But you got to understand this is going to be part of every conversation we have about coaches' contracts, about any type of financial decision. Like, I'll give you an example. This is something you may not be aware of right now. As LSU has had to manipulate its budget to be able to afford revenue share, right? Remember, revenue share, schools are allowed to share up to $20.5 million with their student athletes. And, of course, LSU is going to do the full $20.5. You have to. So you got to go cut other spots in the budget to find that money. I mean, yes, your revenue is going to increase, which will make up some of that difference, but your revenue isn't increasing $20.5 million year over year. So you got to find money in the budget. For example, one thing, there are some recruiting visits where LSU's football staff is having to fly commercial. For years, they've had great relationships with a lot of different boosters and other entities that have allowed them to share private planes. And I don't need to name those entities. If they want it to be known, they can. But some of that, and remember, even if that booster group, I shouldn't call it that, if that corporation that happens to be friendly with LSU or a booster loans the plane, there's some expense that would be passed on to LSU still. So part of the recruiting budget line item would be things like jet fuel or whatever it would cost, the depreciation on the asset, whatever. Well, if you're saving money, you stop flying private and you start flying commercial. It's far less efficient. Whereas you could hop on a PJ and visit 4 kids in a day. Now you could be in the middle of a visit, but if you got to go catch this flight, hey, it's been real. I got to get to the airport. Like, that's one change that's happening right now. So, by the way, if you got a private jet, you might want to call LSU. They could probably use your help. But seriously. Anyway, point being, like, you're seeing cuts. Like we talked about some of the support staff at LSU that was let go. Jacoby Stevens, Nick Brissett, Jazz Smith, who is the director of operations, isn't back. They promoted J.R. Belton internally. Donovan Tate, they promoted internally to J.R. Belton's old role of director of recruiting. Instead of hiring new people, they promoted from within and sort of expanded roles and gave some much-deserved promotions to those folks, but you still leaned out your support staff. A lot of that is part of this revenue share. And all that to say and to provide a little bit of color and illustration to show, like, you go and hire Kyle Williams, who's never been a college coach before, you're paying him $700K. Like, look at the football staff pay from a year ago. Yes, you have some highly paid assistants. Frank Wilson at $1 million, Joe Sloan at $950, Brad Davis at $900K. Well, Jake Olson last year was at $350. Slade Nagel was at $500K. Corey Raymond was at $200K, but remember, he was still getting a buyout check from Florida, so you were able to massage the numbers a little bit because he was still getting paid by Florida, so year one, you're able to make it work. So that number will escalate. But still, point being, Jake Olson, a relatively inexperienced coach, comes in from Missouri at $350. Slade Nagel was at $500. Bringing in Kyle Williams at $700 with escalators that go to $775 and $850. I was surprised to see the numbers that high, especially considering you're still taking a risk. I mean, I gave you my thoughts on the Kyle Williams hire last week, and there's a part of me that loves it for the same reason a lot of you love it. From Louisiana, went to LSU, played on a national championship team, 13 years in the NFL, heartbeat of that team captain in Buffalo, knows the state well, was a DC at Ruston for 5 years, so knows high school in the state well, footprint in North Louisiana. He's got 2 guys from Ruston on the team right now. There's a lot of things that make sense with Kyle Williams. The other part of it is kind of similar with Robert Steeples. I mean, you hired Robert Steeples to his first ever college coaching job. He was the cornerbacks coach at LSU. He fell flat on his face. I'm not suggesting that's going to happen with Kyle. I'm just saying you are taking a risk. It's a pretty expensive one, too. It's $700K in year 1. But $775, then $850 over the 3 years, as reported by Wilson Alexander. That's going to be a fascinating test case to see. Kyle Williams, I was told, was out there on Saturday at spring practice. Jamaria Rasco, former Tiger, who was Bo Davis's GA, was primarily leading the position group drills. That'll take a little bit of a time to transition Kyle into the flow, and I'm sure he'll do it just wonderfully here in spring. But that is a storyline that's worth following here as we move through spring and into the season with Kyle Williams, the new defensive line coach. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us here. Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. Maybe you're buying a vehicle for your kiddo. Well, they want something that's stylish and that performs great, looks great, performs great. You want something that's safe and affordable. With Volkswagens, you get all of that in one. And Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is South Point Volkswagen. So shop them online, work out your financing online. Go test drive one today, airline just north of Highland. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, let's talk some LSU baseball right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Center.
I'm Doug Brown. A very busy day of NFL news. 2 quarterbacks going to new teams. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Sam Darnold leaves the Vikings. He'll get a 3-year, $100.5 million deal with the Seahawks. And Justin Fields leaves the Steelers. He'll get a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Jets. ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum says that other New York team still needs a quarterback.
If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers...
Hypothetically, we'll play that out.
Right,
yeah.
right, which is a non-zero chance of happening. Who's the starting quarterback for the Giants on open day, assuming that Cam Ward in Tennessee gets done? And it's really stunning to think that we're sitting here on March 10th, and we're talking about the New York Giants. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
Mike Tannenbaum on Unsportsmanlike. The Patriots had the most money to spend, and they are spending it on all 3 levels of the defense. They'll sign D lineman Milton Williams, linebacker Robert Spillane, and corner Carlton Davis III. And a baseball note today, Dodgers manager David Roberts will sign a 4-year contract extension, $8 million a year.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, NFL free agency is off and running, and I'll give you my top 5 favorite moves so far. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right. Woo!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Adam Rittenberg from ESPN in about 15 minutes. David Dellucci 1 hour from right now. We always talk some SEC baseball with Luch. It is SEC baseball week. Awesome. SEC play begins this weekend. Fired up for it. One of the giant stories over the weekend, of course, was the Derek Carr restructure. I am going to get you my full thoughts on that next hour. The Saints, a busy news day. Saints traded for Davon Godchaux today. I got thoughts on that in 30 minutes. We opened the show today talking to Ross Jackson, who gave us like a full whip around of everything. The Carr restructure, signing Davon Godchaux. The Saints announced they're re-signing Nathan Shepard. Excuse me, that news, the Saints had announced it. The news broke. That they're re-signing Nathan Shepard during that interview. Paulson Adebo is going to be a member of the New York Giants. We talked about all that in one nice, tightly compact package with Ross Jackson to open the show. So if you missed that, you can catch it on demand. If you want video or audio, just search AFR Saints and you get it on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Baseball Tigers played their final pre-conference weekend against North Alabama. 3-game sweep of the Lions. And I had, let's count it, 1, 2, 3, 4 real big takeaways from the weekend. First and foremost, I think in your final weekend before SEC play begins, seeing each of your 3 starters extend was a very good thing. Cade Anderson threw 92 pitches. Anthony Ianson threw 95 pitches. Chase Shores threw 94 pitches. So each of your 3 starters getting over 90 pitches and getting you deep into the ball game, great to see. Anderson gave you 6 innings. Ianson gave you 7, struck out 15. More on him in a second. Chase Shores wasn't efficient, but got you through 5, allowing just 2 runs, which you'll take in a Game 3 every week of conference play. If Chase Shores takes the ball in Game 3 and gets you 5 innings of 2-run baseball, you're going to win most Sunday games, most Game 3s in conference, if you have a number 3 starter that can give you that. I mean, a year ago, you didn't have a number 3. In your championship year, you didn't have a number 3. I mean, Thatcher Hurd late in the season became a guy you could count on, but throughout that season, you never had a truly established number 3 go-to guy. So you give me Chase Shores at 6'8", throwing 100 miles an hour, giving you 5 innings, a 2-run ball on Sundays in the SEC, you're going to win a lot of Sundays in the SEC. But you go back to Friday, Cade Anderson, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, no walks, allowed just 1 run on 4 hits. Here was Jay on his Friday night guy.
Yeah, I thought it was a great outing. I actually thought it could have been even a lower pitch count to get to that point. I think there's a couple small things, like I'll go through with him. Like we probably could have saved a couple pitches and even probably got him through 7, to be honest with you. But it was a good outing. I thought he was sharp and did a really good job getting ahead in the count, getting 2 outs quickly. It made it really hard for them to get anything going.
Cade Anderson was awesome. You have a starter on Friday that gives you 6 innings. That's that efficient, throwing strikes, didn't walk anybody. For the big complaint a lot of people had, too many walks. And you continue to see this. The walks are primarily coming from guys that I don't think you're going to count on when you get into real leverage spots this season. We'll get to that in a minute. But my goodness, what a day for Anthony Ianson.
Ianson approaching 100 pitches. This might be his last one here. The 2-2. Strike 3 on the outside corner. 15 strikeouts for the Tiger right-hander as he strikes out the side here in the 7th.
Anthony, I was Jeff Palermo on the call on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Ianson was awesome on Saturday, and interestingly, he gave up 2 runs in the first. And I tweeted it after the game. He got in trouble against Nebraska last week and then settled in. Same thing here. He's almost like a guy, a fighter that has to taste his own blood to really lock in. And there's some, like if you're a fan of combat sports, there are some fighters like that. They're slow starters. They need to be hit a little bit, and then the light switch flips and they lock in. Maybe that's something we're going to see from Ianson. He might labor, but once he hits his stride, he's going to be really good. Here was Jay Johnson on Ianson after the game Saturday.
He's a good pitcher, and he's poised. And so, I think one of the traits that I believe all great pitchers have is they don't let small things bother them and carry forward to the next pitch or the next inning or the next play. And he's proven that, obviously, here through a couple weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it is. So I'm proud of him for that. He really got rolling. I don't know how many strikeouts he had, but it felt like a lot.
15 strikeouts. Zach Cowan came in, pitched the 8th and the 9th, added 5 strikeouts. He struck out the side in the 9th, by the way. 20 strikeouts. That was the most since the Super Regional against Kentucky when LSU pitching combined for 20 strikeouts in a game. The other thing notably about Ianson, even in that 7th inning, as he was approaching 100 pitches, he was sitting 93, 94. So his ability to extend, maintain his velocity, and still be sharp was awesome. I mean, it's really the weekend you wanted to see from your starters. Now, offensively, this is becoming a narrative about this team, but it's their versatility. It's their ability to produce offense in a lot of different ways. On Friday, LSU hit 6 home runs, and Jared Jones was 0 for 5 that day. That's pretty remarkable. And by the way, it was 6 different Tigers that homered. I don't think this is a team that's going to, certainly not a team that's going to threaten to lead the SEC in homers. But what it illustrates is you have guys up and down the lineup that can hurt you with their power, but it's not something that you have to rely on. After the weekend, here was Jay on the 6 homers on Friday.
I think we're just getting better. And, weather has a lot to do with it. 40 degrees and wind blowing in, it's hard to hit balls over a fence. It seemed like a spring day today. I think that had a lot to do with it, but I think we're just getting better. Approaches were good. Guys were not in between pitches. They got what they were looking for and hit them hard.
For what it's worth, Jared Jones comes back on Saturday after his 0 for 5, and he goes 3 for 4 with a homer and 2 doubles. And by the way, the first double in the first inning went off the top of the wall. Jay was kind of acting like a pissed-off teenager. He used 2 challenges both in the first inning on plays he had no chance of winning. But the Jones double, if you miss it, hit the top of the wall and came back in. And where it hit in the wall in left center, there's nothing behind the wall. Like at some parts where the bleachers are, there's sort of like this metal grate where it could hit that and come back. So as to say that if it was a home run, the ball would have landed behind the fence. It wouldn't have hit anything and come back. So very clearly it hit the fence and came back in. So it was off the top of the wall, which was a double. It was the right call. But in any event, it was great to see Jared Jones have the day he did, the bounce back that he did. He's been great. And you look at game 2. I mean, what a variety. Jones homers. You manufactured a run on the Jones double in the first inning. You scored on an error where they threw the ball away. In the eighth inning, you ran a suicide squeeze and scored a run. So, I don't know, because candidly, I didn't watch any of Jay Johnson's teams at San Diego, and I probably saw very little consciously of his teams at Arizona. I never knew he was going to end up being the coach at LSU. Of course, they played that super against Ole Miss, and they were in Omaha. But I don't know if his teams at Arizona ran as much as this one is. And it's something, next time I have an opportunity to talk to him, I'll ask him if this is something he's done in his past or if it's just something that's sort of unique to this team. But I think he got a lot of guys that can handle the bat, and he's got a lot of guys with great speed. And so they're putting a lot of action on the bases. I mean, we're seeing suicide squeezes, we're seeing safety squeezes, we're seeing double steals, we're seeing straight steals, you're seeing hit and runs. I mean, he is putting a lot of action on the base paths with this offense, and they're putting a lot of pressure on opposing defenses. So that was good to see. 2 other things quickly from the weekend. We'll get to Adam Rittenberg. You're seeing fewer bullpen arms. Look, the Omaha series used 13 pitchers. Last week in Frisco, used 15 pitchers. This weekend, you use 9. And it's one of the things that, one of the mantras, the drum I've been banging a little bit is, while I know a lot of people are concerned about the walks and some of the issues, a lot of that are young guys that you're getting out there to get them experience. But when it comes time to leverage spots, like if Friday night, Cade Anderson goes 7 innings and LSU's up 1-0, you're giving the ball to Casey Evans to go get you 6 outs, period. You're not playing matchups and let's see if Primo or Rizzi or Cooper Williams get you a lefty. No. It's an SEC game. It's a 1-run game. Hey, Evans, go shove and get me 6 outs and get me a win. That's how it's going to go. If on Saturday, Anthony Ianson gives you 6, Zach Cowan's going to get the ball and say, hey, see if you can get me 6 outs. Maybe get you home. Who knows? But the point is, you're narrowing right now your focus on who you can count on, and those are the guys they're going to lean on in conference play and ultimately in postseason play. And when you have an opportunity to get Chandler Dorsey and Maverick Rizzi and Cooper Williams and Grant Fontenot and a lot of these other guys, when you have the opportunity to get them out there, midweek games, up 10, down 10 in weekends, you're going to do it. You're going to give them those opportunities. But you're learning who you're going to count on in those leverage spots. And then last thing I thought was really interesting, Tanner Reeves started all 3 games this weekend at third base. And Jay was asked, is he hoping that someone locks down that job with Braswell or Reeves?
No. Yeah, I'm comfortable with where it's at right now. I mean, like I said, I'm comfortable with not necessarily at third base, but whether Ethan Fry starts, Josh Pearson, Ashton Larson, Brown, I'm comfortable no matter what. And we're going to use them all in their strengths. And it's good. Michael's been swinging the bat good. His last 2 swings have been really good. And Tanner obviously had a good night tonight. I think we're going to need them both. And I don't feel like it has to tip one way or the other, or probably that it will for a while.
Look, Braswell struggled here to start the season, but it's worth noting, Braswell's a really good defender, and last year he hit .310 in conference play. In SEC games last year, he hit .310. He is a known commodity. Braswell can hit SEC pitching. You've seen it. He's had a slow start. That sucks. That's also baseball. So I have no problem continuing to run Braswell out there, and if they want to get Reeves experience, great with that as well. They know the player much better than any of us do. So you got options. And I think you're going to see Jay use these guys like this. There was a sequence on Saturday where Jake Brown started. It's very good. They wanted to go with a righty-lefty matchup, so John Pearson pinch hit for Jake Brown, gets a knock. Mick Paul goes to run for John Pearson and then goes into right field. You got a lot of different guys with a variety of skill sets that can help you, and they're going to use all these guys in a lot of different ways. It's just something we're starting to see manifest. All right, Tigers sweep this weekend. They'll play Xavier in the midweek, and then they'll play Missouri in Baton Rouge. You could not have an easier draw to start conference play. Missouri is the worst team in the conference. Go see if you can get off to a 3-0 start. I know you never want to count on a sweep. I'm not saying you count on a sweep, but That opportunity is there this weekend if you go play well against the worst team in the conference. All right, it's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. We'll knock out a quick break, talk some Big Ten spring football with Adam Rittenberg of ESPN next.
AFR.
We are brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Sieg near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. 4 Clegg's Nursery locations and seemingly unlimited options for your outdoor decor. Clegg's Nursery, you want to get by, fill up on any of those patio pots and plants and flowers, they got you. You want to load it up with a pop of color, they can help you out over at Clegg's Nursery. I always encourage you to go follow Clegg's on Facebook because every time they get a new shipment, they do such a great job of updating. This was just an hour ago. They have one media row at Clegg's. I wonder if that's like a little play on us. There's all all the potting soil and all the different mulch. They got it bagged. They got it bulked. It's time, y'all. Spring's here. Get in your garden. Just plant something and let Clegg's help you. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Taking an opportunity, take a tour around the country, stop in each of the Power 4 leagues, kind of get some of the 10,000-foot view perspective on some of these spring storylines. Took care of the SEC and the Big 12 last week. This week we'll look at the ACC. And right now, Adam Rittenberg from ESPN.com is good enough to join us, talk a little Big Ten. Adam, we appreciate you always, man. How are you?
Doing great, Matt. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks. In these parts, people aren't used to seeing the league go on a 2-year drought, if you want to call it that, winning a national championship, and the Big Ten's done it with Michigan and Ohio State in back-to-back years. What's the storyline out of CBUS trying to avoid the letdown that hit Michigan after winning their championship?
Right. Well, again, it is going to be a different team. I think that's important to kind of note. But I think, Ohio State, typically just recruits at a higher level and, brings back a little bit more star power. I mean, Michigan lost a lot from that championship team. And you could see maybe some of the deficiencies they had, especially on offense. I mean, they were one of the worst passing offenses in the country last year. It's hard to imagine Ohio State, even without Will Howard and without some of the receivers and other players that they lose, falling off too far. Certainly with a guy like Jeremiah Smith still back, Carnell Tate still back, so they're going to have one of the best receiving corps in the country pretty much every year. But it's going to be new. Obviously, losing Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator, and Matt Patricia coming in, that's going to be a bit of an adjustment. But Ohio State, again, personnel-wise, year in and year out, they're just not prone to major drop-offs. So I think it's going to be an interesting year, but I'd be surprised if Ohio State is out of the playoff mix like Michigan was so early in this past season.
Yeah, Jim Knowles, of course, Chip Kelly's in the NFL, so Ohio State replaces both coordinators. But I'm glad you mentioned Will Howard. So Will Howard's gone. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel's gone from Oregon. How are those two teams in particular replacing their quarterbacks here in spring?
Well, yeah, I mean, starting with Oregon sort of had a built-in replacement ready to go when it added Dante Moore in the transfer portal after last year, after the 2023 season. He'd obviously started games at UCLA. He was a top 5 national recruit. And so, barring a surprise, he's going to get the next opportunity for Oregon, which is another team like Ohio State that recruits so well. I mean, just as someone who's covered this league, to have a program like Oregon that is in on so many top recruits and so many top transfers. For years, it was really only Ohio State that was kind of that type of program. But now Oregon's in that category as well. Penn State has upped its recruiting game. Michigan's sort of getting there here and there. And so I just think Oregon, once again, will be, very talented around Dante and should be one of the better offenses in the country. And then the other team, Ohio State, obviously Julian saying, if you heard any of the chatter coming out of the combine from the Ohio State players who were there, they're pretty much saying that it's his offense now. Even though there's other players who were in that mix, they had a number of guys transfer out. Certainly seems like Sayan, who obviously started with Alabama before transferring in, has made a pretty nice impression behind the scenes to take over for Will Howard, who obviously was very good in his one season there.
Adam Rittenberg's with us, ESPN.com, talking about Big Ten spring football, some storylines there. What about Penn State? What do they need to do? What are the storylines there for Penn State to be able to take the next step, not just be in the playoff, but obviously push to win a national championship?
Yeah, I mean, for lack of a better term, like Penn State is that team this year. I mean, I think everyone looks at Ohio State as kind of a national championship or bust team with who they had coming back after the disappointment of 2023, and they went out and won a national title. I think Penn State was obviously right there. We're talking about all these departures at Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan. Well, Penn State pretty much brings everybody back. I mean, not everybody. They lose Abdul Carter and they lose some good players here and there, but their quarterback returns. They bring back one of the better running back tandems in the country in Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. They've got a pass rusher in Danny Dennis Sutton, who I think should be one of the best players defensively in the country. Tyler Warren's a big loss, and Abdul Carter's a big loss. But I think Penn State got a real taste of how close they are to competing for a national championship. And now there's really no excuses. They should be back in the playoff. They should be one of the top seeds, and they should make a real run this year.
Are you convinced Drew Aller can be that guy to win a national championship?
I'm not, because I watched him against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, and I mean, let's just face it, he was probably the reason they lost the game. I mean, they were the more talented team. They were winning the game, and obviously he made a poor decision there down the stretch. They were tied at that point, but they were winning the game at times, and you can just see the shakiness. And Drew's a guy that you look at him, he looks the part. He's got the big arm. He's played a lot, but you look at him in big games, and never beaten Ohio State. Wasn't able to beat Michigan last year, and then struggled against Notre Dame in the semifinals. So I think there's big game questions around him. that he's going to have to answer this year because they have all the other pieces to contend. And as a senior quarterback with that much experience, there's not a lot of guys around the country that have his level of productivity. He's got to go and deliver. If not, he's going to be remembered kind of like James Franklin as a really good player who couldn't win the big one.
Adam Rittenberg, I got a couple more for you. One, is there a notable transfer in the Big Ten that, like, people, whenever they start watching games in August, September, they go, oh, I forgot that dude's there. Who's the guy at anywhere in the Big Ten that you think is noteworthy?
Well, I think, again, a team that made the playoffs that a lot of people are going to say, was kind of a one-year wonder is Indiana. But I think Indiana under Curt Cignetti is a very different Indiana than the one that we grew up with. Will they be a playoff team this year? We'll find out, but they certainly have a chance because they return a lot of good players from that team that started 10-0, and they did replace their quarterback Curtis Rourke with another notable quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, who comes over from Cal to join his younger brother, who is also a quarterback on that team, and he was one of the more notable additions as far as quarterback transfers in this cycle. So they really don't feel that they're going to drop off a whole lot with Mendoza at quarterback. And it'll be very interesting to see if they can, have better offensive line, not drop off much at receiver or running back. They're a team that has a chance to make another run.
What do you think? Is there a team? Look, I hate to say, is there another Indiana? Because Adam, I don't know. We haven't going to see nothing like that. I mean, who would you say is the team in the Big Ten that, if you want to use the term sleeper or whatever, team that maybe is poised to take a pretty big step in 2025?
Yeah, it's tough because I think historically there's a number of teams that would fit into that category. I mean, you look at Illinois, and they won 10 games. They finished in the top 20 last year. But the thought of Illinois making the college football playoff would have been laughable really a couple of years ago. Whereas you look at who they have coming back, Luke Altmaier's still there at quarterback. Gabe Jacobs is one of the best defensive players in the conference. He's back. They were able to add a few transfers here and there. If things break right, Illinois could be a team that we're talking about as a playoff contender. There's other teams that could make moves up. Iowa's always hanging around. I think last year was a bit of a disappointment. They were able to add the quarterback transfer from South Dakota State, who's won a national championship at the FCS level. So they're interesting to me. Maybe they move up a little bit. But I think Illinois is that team that it wouldn't take much for them to really have a chance to make the playoff.
Hey, Adam, after watching SMU and Indiana make the playoff, nothing is laughable anymore.
Yeah.
Like, literally, nothing. You could convince me of anything in this world of college football. So it's always going to be fascinating to see. Make sure you follow him at ESPN Rittenberg and reach out there at ESPN.com. He's Adam Rittenberg. Always appreciate a couple minutes, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Hey, coming up in a couple of weekends, they're going to be having a really cool event over at the Lee Michaels in the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge. So make sure you get by and check it out if you haven't, especially if you are getting married, if you're engaged. There's a bridal event that they have. So diamonds, loose diamonds, your diamond rings, your wedding bands. It's coming up March 20th through the 22nd. So a couple of weeks, March 20th through the 22nd. They'll be having a great 3 days only at the Mall of Louisiana location. So jot that down. If you know someone who's engaged, getting married, and you're looking for, or you're planning to get engaged, this is the time to go check out Lee Michaels. It's always a great time. But March 20th through the 22nd, it's their bridal event, again, at Lee Michaels in the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge, March 20th through 22nd. So, Muse, get on by there and get your engagement ring for your impending engagement that's coming up. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. Got in here? Muse getting engaged. Happy for you, Muse.
I am not getting engaged.
It's not what I heard.
Someone lying to you.
The internet said different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the internet says right things all the time. I heard that Muse is getting engaged. Spread the word, everybody. Hashtag married Muse.
Oh, God.
Holly loved that one, too. Okay, you guys are awesome today.
Well, I was going to say.
Thanks so much. What? We're good. No.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
I got a break. Let me let you. I get it. love makes you tongue-tied, Muse.
The last time you did this, Haney thought I was actually getting engaged.
Muse is getting engaged. You heard him say it right there. All right, the Saints have traded for Davon Godchaux. Gotcha. Excited about this, man. I'll give you my takeaway on it next on AFR.
AFR.
Remember, lowest prices, never any contracts. Lowest prices, never any contracts. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Hormone replacement therapy, ED treatments. Gents, if you want to live your fullest, most vital life, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help you do that. If it's hormone replacement therapy or ED treatments, learn more at yourgoodwood.com. Start there at the website, yourgoodwood.com. I get it. Funny name. The logo's funny. It's got the big steeple there on the W. We all get it. Whatever. It's trying to bring levity to something that is uncomfortable for a lot of guys, but I'm here to tell you that as you get older, and I'm specifically talking about hormone replacement therapy here, as we get older, all of us, every single one of us, every human, no one is excluded. As we get older, our bodies produce less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. Here's a chance to safely, affordably supplement to get back to healthy levels. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
All right, David Dellucci will be here in 25 minutes. Talk some SEC baseball. We'll get into the Derek Carr contract restructure next hour as well. You know I got some thoughts on it. I promise you I'm not going to yell. Well, I can't promise I won't yell. I promise you it is not my intention to yell. I don't have anything on my notes that would warrant screaming. And quite honestly, I'm at this point where I don't want to let the Saints hurt me anymore. Real talk. Hashtag real talk. I've accepted that they are what they're going that they are what they are and what they're going to be. And until there's a fundamental change, there's no reason to think it's going to be any different. So I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm just going to go at life as a Saints fan with a defeatist mentality. And that way, they can't hurt me. I have no expectation. You can't fail to meet my expectation. I do love this, however. On Monday, a lot of us woke up to the news that as the NFL's legal tampering period was set to begin, the New Orleans Saints worked out a deal with the New England Patriots to bring Davon Godchaux home to the Saints. And I think this is a really good move. And not just because it's a former LSU player. I think this checks just about every box that you could possibly want to check for New Orleans, considering, the state of the roster, the salary cap, everything. So, let's go through it here. Godchaux is 30 years old. He's entering his 9th NFL season, so he's played 8 years. He's played in 120 games over his 8 seasons. And each of the last 4 years in New England as a starter, he's played in all 17 games. Last 4 years has not missed a single game with the New England Patriots. And he's made 67 starts of the 68 games he's played in New England. So he has been durable. What did Mike D always say the best ability is? Availability. And Davon Godchaux has been available. Okay? That's one. Number two, if you're from here and you remember Godchaux as a prep athlete at Plaquemine, I'll never forget this because it was such an unorthodox situation, but Godchaux was a defensive end at Plaquemine. And his senior year of high school tore his ACL. Comes to LSU as a freshman, coming off a torn ACL where he played defensive end, and they moved him inside to play defensive tackle. That was the 2014 season where they were very thin on the interior. In 2014, the most experienced defensive tackle they had was a true sophomore in Christian Lockature. They were thin and inexperienced. And Godchaux stepped in as a true freshman, changing positions, and played pretty well. And then, as we know, he became a very good interior player, ultimately went and got drafted by the Dolphins in 2017, and after spending, he was a 5th-round pick. After spending 4 seasons in Miami, he goes to New England, where he spent the last 4 seasons, and has been a very good player. But what's notable about Godchaux is he ain't looking nothing like the dude that signed with LSU back in 2014. Davon Godchaux right now is 6'3", 330. Dude is, my guy ain't missed many meals. The buffet line, they see him coming and they running high. 330. And I'm not throwing shade, but he has moved to be an interior zero technique nose. And remember, this is the other thing that I like about this a lot. Not only has he been durable, but with Brandon Staley coming in after the Saints have run effectively a 4-3 for as long as Dennis Allen's been here, really for as long as Sean Payton was there. Brandon Staley is more of a 3-4 base. So you got to have the zero technique nose, which you don't have. Like Brian Brzee might be able to play that. Probably could. But I don't know that that's a highest and best use of Brian Brzee's ability. Colin Saunders, who's 28 years old, Nathan Shepard, who's 31 years old, are on the roster. Monday later, we found the Saints extended Nathan Shepard. He was set to count $7 million against the cap this year. So we'll see the terms of that deal when it comes out, but in giving him a contract extension, it probably gives you a little cap relief here in 2025, but it shows Shepard will be back. We'll see about Colin Saunders, what they do there. But this is a guy that fits truly a skill set that fits what you're trying to do defensively with Brandon Staley. So you get a durable guy who fits what you're looking to do. He's a 2-down lineman. He's not a third down lineman. He's a 2-down run-stuffing lineman. Remember, the New Orleans Saints were the second worst run defense in the NFL in 2024, allowing 141 yards a game. So you were the second worst run defense in the league, and you added a big 330-pound run-stuffing defensive tackle who has been a durable player during his 8 years in the NFL. Check, check, check. Also, he's affordable. And this is something that we have to consider with every roster move that the New Orleans Saints make because of their cap situation. The Saints traded a 7th-round pick for Davon Godchaux. And it's not just a 7th-round pick. It's a 2026 7th-round pick. So not even in this year's draft. It's next year's 7. So who knows what you may do with respect to compensatory picks or whatever between now and next year's draft to where you can make up that draft capital. You can even make other trades to make up that draft capital. Point being, giving up a 7, which usually is a flyer on a guy anyway, for a guy that's been a notable starter, a durable starter, a run stuffer in a position that you don't currently have filled on your roster because of what your new defensive coordinator would like to do. Check, 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 check. And then the last thing, but it's worth noting, is that it's a cool story because he's from here. Like that, you don't lead with that. Like you don't go do a deal for Davon Godchaux because he played at Plaquemine and at LSU. The fact that he is from here is just a cool anecdote that I think adds a little more emotion to this. And I'm good with it. You know, Godchaux's a guy that, again, played at Plaquemine, played collegiately at LSU, and now he's going to play for the Saints. And actually, Godchaux tweeted earlier today, if you missed it, home is where the heart is, excited to be coming home and playing for the great state of Louisiana. A dream come true to play in high school ball, college ball, now the NFL in the same state. So ready for this opportunity to play in front of the Houdat Nation. God makes no mistake. Let's go, with a bunch of Fleur-de-lis emojis. And then pretty cool graphic as well that they posted for Godchaux in the Saints uniform. I love it. He's fired up for it. There's a fan component to this where you're going to get some juice out of it. I like it. And look, I mean, we've joked for a long time about the Saints and their lack of interest in LSU players, but it's proving not to be the case, man. Tyrann Mathieu, Jarvis Landry, Foster Moreau. Last year they brought Clyde Edwards-Helaire in midseason. They just re-signed him as well, and now Davon Godchaux. I love it, man. It checks so many boxes. I don't necessarily have a negative thing to say about this. And we can look at Godchaux's contract, which in 2025, he'll carry a $5 million cap hit. And in 2026, that number is $7.5 million. But very likely, the Saints are going to do what they always do. They're going to restructure this deal to get a lower cap hit this year and next, and then kick money into future years. It's just how the Saints go about doing business. So you're going to add, he'll probably end up, I'm guessing here, I'm speculating, I don't know this, but my guess is they'll restructure this contract and ultimately have him this year on a veteran minimum salary against the cap, kicking money into future years. So it's going to be affordable this year. You only had to give up a 7 to get a starting caliber, a future 7 to give up a starting caliber player who's been durable, who's a run stuffer, who plays a position in a defense that you need to add into this roster, a veteran guy who's from the state of Louisiana, who's excited to come home. Like, there's a lot of things about this that make a lot of sense. And I'll give the Saints front office credit. Give them a hat tip. I think that this was a very prudent move for a good player in a position of need. I think it checks every box, and I'm pretty excited for it, man. So congrats. Davon Godchaux coming home out of Louisiana. He'll play for the New Orleans Saints, which is an awesome thing. By the way, here was Bill Belichick. This was back in 2021. This is Bill Belichick in 2021 talking about Davon Godchaux.
Yeah, but Davon's been a really good player for us. He's shown a lot of versatility in playing on the center, on the guard in a 2 or 3 technique, and then out on the offensive tackle in a 4 or 5 technique. His pass rush, I think, has really improved this year. His transition, being able to play the run, and then when it's a play-action pass, the transition from a run technique to a pass technique, plays, has a lot of strength, a lot of toughness, runs well, has good quickness. And again, it's a very instinctive player. He understands blocking schemes and blocking patterns, and does a real good job. Yeah, he's been a great addition. Glad we have him.
That's Bill Belichick. And that's the greatest coach of all time, lauding Davon Godchaux. I mean, it's good. Now, that was 2021. This is 4 years ago. That was December of 20. So about three and a half years ago. But still, a good addition for the New Orleans Saints here with Davon Godchaux joining up with the Saints after a trade on Monday morning. All right, it's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Windows, door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll come back. Muse will do Tigers and the pros. David Dellucci talking a little SEC baseball in 15 minutes, and then I'll get to my feelings on the Derek Carr restructure in about 30 minutes from right now. Don't you move. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And, y'all, it is seafood time. What a time to get by Rouse's. Remember, now that we're into Lent, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're going to have their Rouse's seafood. It's just the seafood spectacular, $9.99 a pound. Go load up, feed the whole family for $9.99 a pound. Just remember, with the Rouse's Seafood Spectacular every Friday, Saturday, Sunday here in the spring during Lent. If you got to get your seafood, you got to get it over at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And go check out the hot and boiled kiosks any day of the week. You want boiled crawfish, you want boiled shrimp, they got them. Bag, tag, ready to go. You want a mixed bag of crawfish, shrimp, corn, potatoes, they got it. You walk in, go over to the hot and boiled kiosk. You'll see it right there. Bag, tag, grab, go. You got it at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Hey, how about a big shout out to our guy, Hunt Palmer? Actually, not to Hunt Palmer. How about a shout out to Alyssa Palmer, who actually did the work, and to baby Keller Joseph Palmer, who was born on Sunday. We got a little note over at Louisiana Sports and in our group chat. I woke up on Sunday, and Hunt had texted everybody sometime around 1 a.m. He's like, there's a picture, it was a selfie of Hunt in the hospital, like with a little hospital tag. He's like, probably not going to be much use for you guys today. So I'm like, yeah, all good, man. But I don't know if you saw the tweet from Hunt. So he quote tweeted LSU. He quote tweeted LSU baseball in the series finale tweet, and so he put big time stats in Baton Rouge today. Jared Jones 2 hits and a home run. Stephen Milam 2 hits and a home run. Keller Joseph Palmer 8 pounds 4 ounces. Josh Pearson grand slam and walks. So you just got to do a little Easter egg in there for everybody who's paying attention. So congrats to Hunt, man. Great day, and we're excited for him. And the growing Palmer family. Mom and baby are great, so congrats to Alyssa and to Hunt and to big brother Myers and to baby Keller Joseph Palmer. I'm sure he'll be going home probably tomorrow. All right, Muso, Tigers in the Pros. Jump in if you want.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
We'll begin with the NFL as well, as things happen fast and furious this time of year with the league year set to start on Wednesday. How about Reed Ferguson signing a 4-year extension, or I should say just a new contract with the Buffalo Bills, re-sign there.
Yeah, he's the better of the Fergusons, too. Way better. Way better than Blake.
Whoa.
Reed, dramatically better than Blake.
What is that?
Reed, the Yankees fan. Blake, the Red Sox fan.
Yeah, okay.
Reed, dramatically better of the Fergusons. Yes, I will always applaud Reed. Blake, not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much.
He's the longest.
They know I'm kidding, bro. They know I'm kidding.
He's the longest.
But really. But seriously.
Reed's the longest tenured player right now on the Buffalo Bills roster. So, man, he's been fantastic.
He's the best. He's the best one of the Fergusons and all of them.
And now he'll be there
the
for
best one.
He'll be there for 4 more years.
He's got good taste. He's got good judgment. That Reed Ferguson. Good beard.
Does have a really good beard.
That Reed Ferguson.
The beard is strong. Anyway, yeah. You've just completely thrown me off there with all of that.
No.
Yeah, hey, the Saints traded for Davon Godchaux. We just spent 15 minutes talking about that.
Heard about that.
Nas Reed,
should have stayed. 27
minutes off the bench. I don't know why he's not starting anymore, Timberwolves. What are you doing? 20 points, 7 rebounds in that game. 50%.
Didn't he win 6th Man of the Year last year?
He did.
Yeah, so that's why he's not starting.
But he had a run right there like the last month.
Well,
he was
good off the
starting.
bench.
He was dominant.
He's good off the bench.
He was dominant. 50% from the floor, 50% from 3. I mean, he's awesome.
Seems pretty good off the bench, too.
He's awesome. Kevin Gosman.
I gotta come off the bench.
Oh, you're on one today here, man.
Well, neither one of you want to say a damn thing,
That's
so
not
I'll just
true.
fill up all the airwaves with my voice.
Kevin Gosman today in spring training, 2 1/3 innings, did give up 3 earned, but punched out 4. The big blow he gave Cerner was a home run. But so far, it's his worst outing of the spring, so it's going to skew his numbers a little bit. He's been doing quite well. Here you go. You'll like this one. Austin Nola. Austin Nola hitting 8-hole today for the Rockies in spring training. He is 1 out of 2 with a double, his second double of the spring. That one came off of Logan Webb. Pretty good starter there for the Giants. He also would drive in a run as well. Hitting 350. You know, they signed him to that minor league deal.
Yep.
Let's see if he pushes for some time with the big club over there in Denver.
Okay. Let's see.
That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by First South Farm Credit. You can visit firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. You know, you want 10 acres over on Hushatu Road, you know, maybe Pride, Watson, St. Francisville, Clinton, Zachary. Want to build your family's dream home? They can help you do it. It's First South Farm Credit. Of course, your first option, your first call is First South Farm Credit. It's been farmers' first option for more than 100 years. First in agriculture in Louisiana for 100 years. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You know, most people who buy land already own land. So remember, you can use the equity you have in your current property for that new property. Great time of year right now. If you know, with hunting season wrapped up, Tired of sharing that lease with somebody else? You want your own property for next hunting season? Get on the phone today. Ask for Tim. Call any of my friends over at First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. That's FirstSouthLand.com. 44 branches. 44! At 44 branches. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. They're just words. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. 44 branches. FirstSouthLand.com. Okay, y'all. 2 hours in the books. Hour number 3 staring us straight in the face. Thanks for being there. If you're watching on YouTube, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate y'all for being there, watching on WBTR, listening in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Alec, wherever you may be. Thanks so much for being there with us. Okay, quick break. Sports Center's coming up. When we come back, David Dellucci, Cali High! Here to talk a little SEC baseball, and I'll get Derek Carr's contract in about 20 minutes.
After further review.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown, ESPN's Adam Schefter with big quarterback news for two teams. The Seahawks will sign free agent quarterback Sam Darnold to a 3-year, $100.5 million contract. And Adam also reports Justin Fields will sign a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Jets, including $30 million guaranteed. The Buccaneers will re-sign wideout Chris Godwin to a 3-year deal worth $66 million with $44 million guaranteed. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
That wide receiver market is going to continue to shrink, and for a team like New England that needs to add perimeter players, for them to be in that Godwin conversation and not get him for their young second-year quarterback, Drake May, T. Higgins is going to be in massive demand.
Dan Orlovsky on ESPN's NFL free agency special. Arkansas State earns its first trip to the NCAA women's tournament, winning the Sun Belt title in overtime, 86-79 over the top seed James Madison, coming from 17 down to win it.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right. Woo!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. What a busy day. NFL legal tampering period started. Davon Godchaux is now a member of the New Orleans Saints. Paulson Adebo will sign with the New York Giants. Adam Rittenberg was here last hour. Ross Jackson in hour number 1. Derek Carr's contract restructured. I'm getting to that here in 13 minutes from right now, my takeaways. You know my feeling on it, but I'm going to explain why. I'm going to illustrate why I feel the way I do, because now that we know the numbers, it's going to paint a very clear picture. Picture around the SEC and baseball, not quite as clear. David Dellucci joins us each Monday here. Talk a little weekend that was in college baseball in the conference. Luch, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, man. So we're a month into the season. Conference play begins this week. The preseason number 1 team in the country was Texas A&M. If you look at the SEC standings right now, at the very bottom is Missouri. They stink. One spot above them is Texas A&M. Explain what has happened with the Aggies.
I can't.
Crazy, man.
It's crazy, right? 9-6 record. You hate to pin it on one player, but what we discussed a couple weeks ago, the injury to the superstar sophomore Gavin Grahovac, I guess, has been bigger than what we expected. Now, that's a lineup that has an awful lot of good hitters, veteran hitters, and what may end up being the D1 NCAA Baseball Player of the Year when it's all said and done with Jace Laviolette. So, and the pitching staff with Ryan Prager, who was SEC Pitcher of the Week, has been decent. Sometimes when you lose that big superstar in your lineup, you just have a mental cloud for a while. And I guess that's it. It's not that they've played terribly difficult competition.
Yeah.
But goodness gracious. I mean, look, they're still ranked now. They're 19th in the country, and I think that's being generous.
That's a joke.
So we'll see. We'll see how this weekend goes. It doesn't get any easier this weekend, that's for sure. They got number 17 Alabama that they're going to play this weekend, so they got their work cut out for them.
They've lost to New Mexico State, UTSA, Cal Poly. I mean, it's not like they've gone and challenged themselves with the best of the best, which suggests their record. They have lost some teams they got no business losing to, at least not in the manner in which they are. So if we flip it, though, if it's surprising seeing A&M there at the bottom, I think we all anticipated that Tennessee and LSU would be near the top, and they are, but splitting the two of them are Georgia and Alabama. So are you buying, Luch, is like all last year we asked about Kentucky. Like, is Kentucky legit? Is Kentucky legit? Are you buying Georgia and Bama after a month as legitimate contenders?
I think Alabama is, and I think we will see the reason why as the season goes on. Their offense has been really good. That's what's surprising people so far is how good the offense has been. They're returning an awful lot of pitchers from last year. They have a very deep bullpen. I think so far at this point they have pitched 21 different pitchers. So it's a good team from top to bottom. Georgia, we figured they would have decent pitching staff. The hitters, they lost a ton of hitting last year with Charlie Condon and his, 35, 37 home runs. And a couple other sluggers, but they're killing the ball right now. And at an 18-1 record, the Georgia Bulldogs look really, really good. Honestly, no one has really played stiff competition so far up to this point. I think the SEC overall is like 200 or 202 and 35. That's their record. But Georgia has just been really consistent, as has Alabama. And at this point, that's what you're looking for is consistency and really health getting into the SEC play.
David Dellucci, SEC Network, is with us. Okay, what's a team maybe that's sort of in the middle of the league that you think is lurking 1 month into the season as we're starting conference play now?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of say they're lurking and they're a surprise team to me, and that would be Oklahoma. Oklahoma's right now is 14-1. I think they're ranked 12th in the country. They played some good ball. They beat some really good teams. They're one of the teams. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt probably played the most difficult non-conference record schedule so far. Vandy's 13-3. But Oklahoma, I thought was a little bit behind where they are. They've gotten consistent pitching, and that's a team. And LSU's going to play them. That's a team that's very good. They can beat you in a lot of different ways, and not just by the long ball.
Oklahoma ranked as high as 8th in the country by Baseball America right now. You mentioned LSU, so let me get your thoughts on the Tigers, Luch, based on what you thought this team would be game one to what they are now a month in. What has been confirmed? What do you think you still have questions about?
Confirmed is the fact that they are so deep on both sides, man. I mean, the pitching staff is extremely deep. Offensively, position player-wise, maybe even deeper. I mean, there's a good chance that if somebody has a favorite player and they're going to go to a series, they may not see their player because Jay Johnson's got a great opportunity to play matchups all year long. So that to me is really going to help out. It'll be beneficial as the season goes on. It's going to be difficult to find at-bats and opportunities to put pitchers in the ball game, but Jay is a master at that, and he's done a great job so far. Just really pleased with the way they're swinging the bat. For me, the key, and I'm not going to say it's something I'm concerned about, but the key to me is going to be protecting Jared Jones, and they're doing a great job with the lineup behind him. Dickinson, Milam, Josh Pearson. He's going to be huge. He's going to have to stay consistent. But you definitely do not want Jared Jones out there where he's getting pitched around. So the hitters behind him are going to have to drive the ball and drive in a bunch of RBIs, especially if Jared Jones is hitting number 2.
Josh Pearson with a big 2-out grand slam on Sunday. It was the big blast. Jay Johnson gave it the magic moment. It was pretty cool to see. A guy who just keeps coming through in big at-bats for the Tigers. David Dellucci's with us. Tigers are going to play Missouri this weekend. As we mentioned, Missouri's dead last in the SEC in the standings right now. And they're probably, Luch, the worst team in the league. It's fair. Give me something to keep an eye on in this series with Mizzou coming in this weekend.
Yeah, look, they are. I would agree with you, Matt. I would say they probably took a step backwards from last year, but don't sleep on the offense, okay? The pitching staff is worse in the SEC right now with a 6.2 ERA. They're not very good, all right? But they are an SEC team, and every weekend is a challenge no matter what. But the hitters, there's some talented hitters in that lineup, and the hitter that stands out to me is the veteran of the bunch. His name is Jackson Lovich. He's their shortstop. He's been around the block quite a bit. They've got a DH, Caden Nicoletto, who is a very good hitter, and then Mateo Cerna is returning as well. He's got some good power, probably the biggest bat in that lineup. They have been putting up runs, so they will hit the ball. It's just been the pitching has been awful from the get-go, and they really haven't played a whole bunch of competitive teams all year long. So the key for LSU is to not look past them. It's easy to do that and see what's, up ahead in SEC play, but they've got to handle this just like any other team and think their at-bats and keep their approach the way that they've been successful and not like that game in Omaha where they just went up there and started swinging at the first pitch.
Luch, a couple more for you. What about Palmineri in his new digs there at South Carolina? Thought on his first month?
I thought he did well. He's got his work cut out for him. That is a fan base that you're going to have to win, and you're going to have to win soon. South Carolina is kind of taking a step back. They've been hit or miss for quite some time. But really, once again, they haven't played a whole lot of teams this year. Winthrop was a good game for them. Clemson, they did not fare well. So if you're looking at who they've played, a competitive team so far, they really hadn't seen a whole lot of good competition. But they're going to start off with Oklahoma, man. And if anybody needs to pick it up quickly, it's going to be South Carolina because I don't know if the South Carolina pitching staff at this point is good enough to hold Oklahoma, and I'm not sure they can slug right now with top-tier SEC pitching.
Dave Dellucci of the SEC Network. Give me a Week 1 series that you're keeping an eye on here as they start conference play.
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I'm going to go with number 2 Tennessee against Florida, number 7 Florida, depending on the poll that you look at. But I think the pitching matchup to keep an eye on is going to be Liam Dole. He's got a .4 ERA. He's an Ole Miss transfer against Liam Peterson for Florida. He's well under 1 ERA. Both those guys are strikeout pitchers with very few walks, and teams that can slug the ball out of the ballpark. Tennessee is absolutely killing the ball. They've scored 199 runs, and they've only given up 35 runs this year. So could be some power-packed games, but 2 of your teams that are predicted to go deep into the postseason right out the gate in conference play.
Tennessee against Radford had 3 grand slams in one game this week. I mean, that's crazy, man.
It's stupid.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think the Tigers and Vols probably meet somewhere in a game with some pretty significant stakes. Not only in the regular season, obviously they'll play, but somewhere down the line. David Dellucci, the SEC Network, joins us each Monday here during baseball season. We'll look forward to doing it again next week, Luch. We appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Be well. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration. You can always go to parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. Remember, it's that patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, parishrestoration.com. If you got odor in your house, mold in your house, maybe you bought a home where they had pets. You can't get rid of that pet odor. Maybe you bought a home where someone was a smoker. You're trying to get rid of that smoker's odor. Maybe it's a commercial building, like a gym, a workout facility where you get the sweat odor. Parish Restoration. They can come in. They'll spray the patented non-toxic dry fog. They'll shut everything up, all the windows and doors. They'll let the fog dwell. As soon as the fog dissipates, boom, you're back in. Clean smelling, fresh. It's affordable, and it's efficient. I mean, they can fog your home in half a day. So, I mean, like, you leave for work in the morning, they go in, fog. By the time you're home from work, you're done. They're not cutting sheetrock and pulling out carpet. It's a faster, more efficient, more cost-effective way to get rid of mold, kill other harmful pathogens. It's Parish Restoration. Go to parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all, been a good show, man. Glad you're hanging out with us here. We still got to get to Otter Locks. They're posted, by the way, right now at louisianasports.net. If you want to get Jimmy's picks, they're up right there on the homepage at louisianasports.net. You see it right there under latest stories. So if you want Jimmy's plays today, you can get him. Jimmy will be here with us in about 30 minutes from right now. So still a ton to do as we make our way through the 5 o'clock hour. Oh, our VEX European Bracket Challenge is up. You want to go register. Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday, but if you want to go register for our Bracket Challenge, you can do so It's at 1045ESPN.com and the banner at the top of LouisianaSports.net. If you want to register, it's free. You can win $1,000. So go check it out, LouisianaSports.net. Okay, a quick break. Come back. What we knew was going to happen happened this weekend. The Saints have restructured Derek Carr's contract. So now that they've restructured Derek Carr's contract, I can very clearly illustrate for you why this is a heinous decision that is going to handcuff this franchise for at least 2 more years. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown on Bluebonnet. Love telling you about the Renaissance Hotel, of course, right there on Bluebonnet. Sprawling, gorgeous property, Renaissance Baton Rouge, across from the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Road. You can't miss it if you're going down Bluebonnet. Centrally located, easy access to the interstate. So if you got someone coming in from out of town, let them know about Renaissance Baton Rouge because it's a gorgeous property that's easily accessible to anything. And if you have an event coming up in 2025, call my friend Allison Crump over at Renaissance Baton Rouge, and she'll get you squared away. They will manipulate their space however they have to accommodate you. I mean, they can host a boardroom for 12 people. They have their grand ballroom that can host up to 500 people. Wedding reception, Renaissance Baton Rouge. Awards banquet, fundraiser, Renaissance Baton Rouge. Got a college football team you need to host for the weekend? Renaissance Baton Rouge does that as well for the purple and the gold. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you get involved in the show. I'll get some of your comments, questions, all that good stuff coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now. Otterlocks to wrap up the show. So on Saturday, the thing that we all knew was going to happen happened, and reports came that the Saints are, in fact, going to restructure Derek Carr's contract. If you're not familiar with how that works, they effectively take salary, convert it to a signing bonus, so it lowers the cap hit this year, but that signing bonus money gets spread out into future years of the contract, so you just take the cap hit in future years instead of this year. So in restructuring Derek Carr's contract, it saved the Saints almost $31 million, just a hair under $31 million immediately. So it puts you in a much better spot financially to where all that money you were over the cap, well, now you're in better standing. But the downside is it kicks money into future years. And again, we all sort of anticipated this was going to happen, especially with the comments Mickey Loomis made at the Combine that they were planning to move forward with Derek Carr and they thought they could win with him. Well, on Monday, Kellen Moore and the new Saints staff had media availability. It was informal, but all the Saints media was invited to come and meet the entire coaching staff. And Kellen Moore, this was courtesy of our buddy Sean Fazand. Kellen Moore effectively said that this was going to be the plan whenever he became the Saints coach.
Yeah, certainly you take this job with the intentions of some of the top players being here, and we felt very comfortable with them. Obviously, anytime you go through these things, it's great to connect first as people and build those relationships and go from there. And so, I'm really, really excited to work with him.
So he effectively said he took the job knowing Carr was going to be the quarterback. He also, Kellen Moore, again, this is courtesy of Sean Fazand at Fox 8, about the conversations that he's had with Derek Carr since becoming the head coach.
Yeah, we just talked about our obviously confidence in this situation and the ability for him to have success here. I think we got a great group here, from the players, the coaching staff, to the environment that we're going to be able to create for him. Felt really, really good and comfortable with what we're going to be able to provide.
Now, I'm not calling Kellen Moore a liar, but I don't believe him. I believe sometimes you tell half-truths. And if you believe Catherine Terrell's reporting from this weekend, and I do, Derek Carr was open to hitting the market. But for New Orleans, there wasn't a situation where that made sense because of the contract. If you had let Derek Carr walk, you would have eaten a massive dead cap number this year. You would have not been able to get the cap relief you needed. So even if you wanted to let Derek Carr go test the market, financially it wasn't prudent to do it. So why did Derek Carr agree to a restructure? He didn't. The way that his contract was drawn, the Saints had a team right to exercise a contract restructure, which they took. They did it without Derek Carr having to approve it. So I promise, I'm not going to sit here and yell. I promise. I'm going to keep my calm. Y'all have heard me yell enough. You know how I feel about it. But every time I've talked about Derek Carr, there's been one consistent bit of pushback I get. Now, I think overwhelmingly you all agree with me. Overwhelmingly. Like, if I had to guess, just guess, from the tweets and the texts and the DMs and all the feedback I get from you, I would guess 80, 85% of you agree with me. 80, 85% of Saints fans are fed up with Derek Carr. They hate the contract. They're tired of Mickey Loomis. They want to move on. They want to move on to what's next. But there's still that lingering, 15% of you. The consistent thing I hear from you is, why can't you see Derek Carr isn't the Saints' biggest problem? Okay. I have, not now, nor ever have I said that Derek Carr is the Saints' biggest problem. What I have said consistently, and the great thing about the internet, every damn thing is recorded. Y'all can go check my facts. Anybody find any video of me saying Derek Carr is the Saints' biggest problem? I'll eat my words. I'll apologize. But I know what I've said because I've said the same thing for more than 2 years now. What I have said is that Derek Carr has a lower ceiling but a higher floor. He's a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. He's just a lower mid-tier, upper bottom tier starting quarterback in the NFL. He's not your biggest problem. You got bigger issues on your team. I've even said Derek Carr is the best quarterback option you have. You want to win now, he is the best option you have to win. However, with a lower ceiling, he's never going to get you to win at the highest level, especially when you can't build a roster around him, and therein lies the rub, my friends. It's not that Derek Carr is your biggest problem. It's that Derek Carr's contract, relative to his value, is your biggest problem. Let's look at this now. With this contract restructure, the New Orleans Saints have lowered Derek Carr's cap hit in 2025 to $20 million. His dead cap number this year is $78 million. So he's going to be your quarterback this year, period. If you got rid of him at any point now, $78 million against the cap. That ain't going to happen, all right? So he's going to be your quarterback. There's a weird scenario that could unfold where you trade him post-June 1, which lets you take a lower dead number this year, but I don't think that's going to happen. It would take a wild scenario, but cross that bridge if you get there. I'd give that a 5% likelihood. Okay. Now, next year, because of this restructure, Derek Carr's cap number next year is $69 million. That's what it'll cost the New Orleans Saints in 2026 if Derek Carr's on the roster. Okay, well, what's the big deal, Matt? Let him go next year. Okay. Let him go next year. Let him go next year, and the dead cap number next year is $59.6 million. It will cost you $60 million for Derek Carr not to be on your roster next year. And oh, by the way, because you've done this cockamamie restructure twice now, the dead cap number in 2027 is $40 million. Derek Carr at $20 million counts for 7% of your cap. That's perfectly agreeable. But next year, whether he's on your roster or not, he's going to count more than $20 million against your cap. Imagine having a player. I said I wasn't going to yell. My bad. I'm just making my point. Imagine having a player not on your team counting $20 million against your cap. That's the problem. You don't have enough cap space to go build a roster around Derek Carr to allow him to compete. If you took Derek Carr, what's the best roster in the NFL? The Eagles, can we agree? Let's just say the Eagles are the best roster in the NFL. If you put Derek Carr on the Eagles roster, that's a playoff team. They're still a playoff team. I don't know that they win a Super Bowl because I don't think he's good enough to do that. But they're still a playoff team. Great roster with Derek Carr. But can Derek Carr elevate a team to make the playoffs and to win in the playoffs? I say absolutely not, because we've got 11 years of a sample size to show you that. So you got to build a roster around him. Well, Derek Carr next year, his cap number is going to be $60 million or 70, depending. The highest cap hit by a quarterback in 2024 was Dak Prescott at $60 million. Let's look at 2025. Let's look at this NFL season. All right. So Derek Carr, he took this restructure. So his cap number now has him all the way down at let's see, he's 16th. His cap number is gets right about the middle to the bottom of the NFL. 2025, Dak Prescott, $60 million. Joe Burrow, $55 million. Jordan Love, $55 million. Josh Allen, $55 million. This is their cap hit. This is these quarterbacks' cap hits for the 2025 season. Trevor Lawrence, $55 million. Tua, $53.1. Goff, $53 million. Herbert, $52.5. Lamar, $52. Jalen, $51. Kyler Murray, $46.1. The point is, there's a lot of quarterbacks with a $50 million cap number. But it's Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. It's the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You can sink 20% of your cap number into those guys because they're good enough. When you're Derek Carr, you can't. That's the problem. That's what I've been yelling about for 2 years. No, Derek Carr is not your biggest problem. It's not the biggest weakness on your team. But when you're paying him like you have, you can't build a team around him to elevate him. That's your problem. That's going to continue to be your problem in 2025 and 2026 and 2027 because you continue to cripple your team's ability to build a competent roster around him to be able to compete. That's the problem. Is Derek Carr a better option this year than Spencer Rattler? Hell yeah. But even with Derek Carr, what is this team? A 7-win team? So what are you doing? Maybe they mess up and win 8. But that's the point I've been making now for 2 years, y'all. He's got a lower ceiling and a higher floor. He's not taking an average roster and elevating it. Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl with me playing on the offensive line. He was obliterated, sacked more times than anybody ever. Gets to the Super Bowl. Why? Because he's amazing. Andy Reid was on something called the better angle. Andy Reid, pretty good coach, right? Keeps winning Super Bowls, getting back there, despite the fact that their quarterback is eating up $55 million against the cap, and they paid him a $500 million contract because you had to. And you keep seeing guys that are great members of that team leave. I mean, Tyreek Hill. You don't think Patrick Mahomes would love to still have Tyreek Hill hanging around? Kansas City just traded Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney has been a pretty good player in his career. Started 146 games, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. He was starting center for the Patriots, won Super Bowls there. Starting center for the Chiefs, won Super Bowls there. Chiefs just traded him to Chicago. Andy Reid explained why.
He's like one of my favorite all-time guys that I've coached. He's just a good dude. I mean, just all around a good dude and tough, dirty tough. He's going to do Chicago, just a heck of a job. I mean, he still can play. But the thing you got to do is you got to be able to manage this cap thing, and it's a nightmare that way. If you're not going to push a ton of money forward, then you got to manage the cap and try to keep consistent with this whole winning thing. And that's not an easy thing to manage. And sometimes you have to make these decisions, and it just kicks you right in the butt. They're tough ones.
Let me ask you a question. You got to manage this cap unless you want to just keep pushing money forward. You got to make tough decisions. Let me ask you a question. Let's poll the room. Who's done a better job managing the cap and building their roster? The Chiefs or the Saints? Muse, who do you think's done a better job?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Hater. Paulie, who do you think's done a better job managing their roster? The Chiefs or the Saints?
I'll say the Chiefs.
Well, you're going to have to take that fleur-de-lis off the back glass of your truck. What are we talking about? One of the greatest dynasties in the history of the NFL, the head coach is telling you. We just traded away an all-pro center. Why? Because you got to manage the cap. I mean, you could just kick money into the future, but if you really want to manage the cap, you got to make tough decisions. This is the problem. You can't build a roster capable of competing when you keep doing this, because too much of your salary is tied up in players that don't play for you anymore or are named Derek Carr and have a low ceiling. If I needed to tie up a quarter of my salary cap into Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, I'd do it in an instant. And if that meant trading away an all-pro center, you do it. Because you have to. And you got to be good at scouting and drafting and finding value so you can build your roster around your all-everything quarterback. But when you do a terrible job of managing your cap, like the New Orleans Saints, this is the problem. So I'll say it again to you. For those of you who just don't seem to understand it, comprehend it, or want to hear it. Again, I'm speaking to the minority here. I am not saying Derek Carr is the New Orleans Saints' biggest problem. What I am saying is Derek Carr, his contract relative to his value is your biggest problem. Because you have so much money tied up in a player that is mid, it cripples your ability to build a roster capable of competing. And now with this restructure, that's not going to change for at least 2 more years. So I'm done yelling. They've made their bed. They're going to lie in it. And I'm going to sit here. I'll talk about them on Sundays and Monday, whenever they come up, because we got to. And there's interest in the team. But if you have any expectation whatsoever, you need to check that at the door. Because this team is not competing for anything for at least 2 more years. I think I did good, didn't I, Muse? I didn't yell.
That's passing. Yeah, that's passing. You got a little passion. You got a little fire in there. But it wasn't the red-faced, guttural, just yelling in anger. So, yeah, that's passing grade there, Scott.
Pounding the desk and everything like that. People are like, why are you so mad? Why yell all the time? Can't help it if I got passion, but I think I did good today.
Yeah, passing grade for sure.
Thank you. It's AFR.
AFR.
Ooh, you want to chill out? I got a great way to do that. Knock off of work, head to the house, drop your keys, kiss your wife, tell your kids hello, tell them you love them, ask them how their day at school went, and then walk into your outdoor kitchen on a beautiful spring day, crack open a nice cold beer, turn on the 80-inch flat screen TV, listen to the water from your hot tub or the water feature in your pool trickle. Very zen. Now that's a good way to relax. You know who can make that happen? Duplessis Builders. Check them out online at duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. You can see pictures of their work. You can hit the Our Book tab at the top, read their book about the pool building process so you can educate yourself. Start that process today, y'all. Duplessis Builders. They're the best. duplessisbuilders.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
Further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
All right, let's move quickly here. Get to Otter Locks with Jimmy here in less than 10 minutes from right now. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, text us in the 225 396-4400, 396-4400. Matt French says, what happens if he retires? Doesn't matter. The money that you owe him is still on the cap. He's not going to retire either way. Derek Carr is 33 years old. He still feels like he's got a lot of gas left in the tank. He ain't retiring. But I think the more telling thing is the fact that what if it was the Catherine Taylor report that he was willing to shop around, like he was willing to leave. I think you have an organization that recognizes they're stuck, and a quarterback that recognizes he's not winning here, and a fan base that doesn't like him. And as a result, you have two sides that probably don't want to be together, but they're kind of stuck because of what this is, because of how bad a deal this is financially. It's why a year ago, when everybody said, they're going to restructure Derek Carr, my hope was they recognized that this wasn't going to work. And so you just put your head down, you plowed through it last year, and then you would have moved on. But instead, they restructured him last year, and now you're stuck for 2 more years. And now you've done it again, and you're stuck for 2 more years. And you just keep prolonging this. I understand it's why I melted last year when they restructured. And that was one of my red-faced melting rants. Because I saw that. It was easy to see that this is the path that you were going to go down. Let's see. Robert said, Matt, it's not the Saints, but we got to hear your take tomorrow on the Commanders are loading up around Jaden Daniels after this year. Wow. That is a great illustration of how to build your roster. The other part of it is an illustration of how you can benefit when you hit on a rookie quarterback. Because now you have your franchise quarterback on a rookie deal at a lower cap value, and you can go spend in free agency to add roster pieces around it. The complicating factor for Washington is going to come in 3 years when they have to extend Jaden Daniels and break the bank for him. And then he is going to eat up a quarter of their cap every year. The situations that Buffalo and Kansas City and Baltimore are in right now, and Cincinnati. It's why Cincinnati is watching Trey Hendrickson walk out the door. It's why they have to franchise T. Higgins for consecutive years because they can't commit to a long-term deal. Because how do you maintain your roster around Joe Burrow when he's counting for $55 million against your cap? Like that's the challenge that you have. It very famously happened in Seattle. They drafted Russell Wilson, the 3rd-round pick, and so you had Russ, you had your franchise quarterback, on a rookie 3rd-round deal. He was kind of like $300K against the cap, and you're winning Super Bowls with him. But eventually, you had to pay him. And when you had to pay him, what happened? The Legion of Boom broke up. Marshawn Lynch was gone. You had to make decisions, like Andy Reid talked about in the Chiefs trading Joe Thuney to the Bears. That's an all-pro center. It was a $16 million cap hit. They could have restructured him. They could have. But then you're handicapping yourself in the future because Patrick Mahomes' number ain't going away. You want to build a roster around him? Okay. You're not going to have your all-pro center, but can you find a replacement for him at better value and get an asset for him and hit on that asset in the draft? That's how successful teams do it. It's not hard. I'm not saying it's easy to achieve. I'm just saying it's not hard to see the path. And it's the way successful organizations do it. And the Saints have lost their way, and it's why they're not a successful organization. And they're not going to be for as long as they continue on this path, because there's no way to be doing it this way. You know, my hope for this team, my sincere hope for the New Orleans Saints is that, like, Ross Jackson right now has a dueling mock draft up right now at LouisianaSports.net. Hang on, I'm going to refresh and find it. I know it's somewhere up there. Here you go. You can pull this up, Paulie. So Ross has a piece up right now. If you look, the Godchaux news is there at the top, and then the next thing down, the second story down, is a dueling mock draft that Ross put. And so he's got two different scenarios where the Saints pick quarterbacks. One, where he's got him picking Shedeur with the 9th pick in round 1. And the other is he's got him taking Jackson Dart in round 2 with the 40th pick. The only way for the New Orleans Saints out from underneath this is if you draft a quarterback and you hit. It's the only way, because then you can discard Derek Carr. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but you'd have your franchise quarterback on a rookie deal. So Carr's, it's effectively like if you had an awesome player on that number. Like, and then it gives you the 3 years, depending on if it's a first or a second round pick, either the 3 or the 4 years before you have to extend that player. And it gives you time to let everything else recycle. It's the only way out. It's why you want to have tremendous hope. Hope Spencer Rattler, the light switch goes on and he becomes an all-pro caliber player. Or if they draft a quarterback this year, outside of round 1, who becomes their franchise player. Like, that's the only way out from underneath this quickly. Otherwise, you're just going to be a long haul as your cap resets eventually, however they plan on doing it. It's just going to be a long haul, y'all. I don't mean to be a defeatist. It's why you don't see teams in the NFL do this. It's just not a practical way of trying to build a winner in the NFL. That's why nobody does it. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a final break of the show. We'll come back. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks. Stick around.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. Here we are in 2025, y'all. 2025, and everyone, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an HR manager, a VP in charge of hiring or operations manager, everyone needs people. I mean, we're leaning more and more on AI, I get that. But everybody needs people. You need competent people in the right roles to make you more efficient. So what if you're struggling with your most valuable asset, hiring the right people? That's where Glow Resources comes in. I'd ask it to you this way. Over the course of a year, if you're in charge of hiring at your business, how many interviews do you do over the course of a year? Whatever that number is, Glow Resources does about 50 in a day. Over 15,000 interviews in a year. They have the network of candidates, and they know the questions to ask to find the right people for your job. So check them out online, GLO, glowresources.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here, Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Big shout out to Brandon and Adrian Holly, our great friends over at Relief Windows. Windows, door, siding, shutters as well, Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. All right, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Auto Locks.
Auto Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance. Now's the time to get that AC unit checked before it really gets hot. Normally $179, just $79 when you mention Auto Locks. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matt. Tough card tonight with some of the smaller conferences, but got a little bit of NBA sprinkled in there as well. You know, we did talk about one of the small schools that usually playing on the West Coast, University of California, San Diego, and how they're the best team against the spread in the nation. Well, guess who the second best team is? They're going tonight. Robert Morris is 24-6 against the spread. They've covered their last 5 in a row. Short number tonight against Oakland, the darling last year's tournament. So we're going to go with Robert Morris minus the 3.5 in the small conference stuff tonight.
All right, Robert Morris minus 3.5. Yeah, and like you said, by the way, Bet Rivers you can buy the 0.5 point, right?
Correct. Bet Rivers are the ones that we use. Is the only one left that allows you to buy it onto the whole point. In this case, like a 3.5 to 3.
Right.
So that's still just 8 to 10 cents. So some counters out of town, they charge 15 cents to do it, but that kind of gets a little bit out of our range. But it is.
They're on to us, Otter. They're on to us.
Well, hey, they have changed. They've changed the juice on 6-point teasers. They've changed the juice on different things. There's a lot of things over time they've changed. So if you got one of the last outlets to allow it, well, I think there's a reason for that. And we talked about that. We talked to Kenny White and Randy McKay last week about that, and they said no, that's usually a sign. So I'm not sure how much longer they're going to allow it, but until they stop, we're going to do it.
Okay.
Arkansas against Mississippi State Saturday, BYU Saturday night. I mean, both of those. I mean, you turn a loss into a push. That's a big deal. They only have to come into play 1 out of every 24 times to pay for itself. We've done a little math on this, Matt. So,
No,
all right.
in
the
sorry.
NBA, to the college, one of the best covering teams in the country, to one of the worst covering teams. They have just completely phoned it in. You don't have to wait for 45 minutes till tip-off for these guys to be out. Maxi's out, Olive's out, Embiid's done for the season.
1 minute
Trust
remaining.
the process. We're going to jump on the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are now a slight favorite. Just a month ago, they were plus 1,000, 10-1 for them to win the Southeast Division. It is a rough one, but the Hawks minus the 11.5.
By the way,
home
down to 10 right now, DraftKings.
Yeah, Trae Young's probably not going to play. They shouldn't need him to take care of the Sixers in this one. Reminder, early start tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. in the Big 12 and some of the other bigger conferences. And we'll have some picks on the show and also on the website before we do Auto Locks at 5:50.
Cool. Make sure you locked in to LouisianaSports.net for the picks, and, of course, live at lunch with Jimmy and Charlie tomorrow at
Mike Anderson, Seafood on Lee, just off of Nicholson.
We'll get you a Dalrymple salad. Thank you, Otter.
Good luck.
We'll see you, man. All right, that'll do it for us here. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Y'all have an awesome night. Remember, if you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Go to your favorite podcast app or YouTube. Just search After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow.
AFR.
Okay, it's Monday, which means Supper Club is closed. Remember, they're open Tuesday to Saturday, closed Sunday, Monday. So this is an awesome opportunity for me to remind you to look at the calendar. So today is Monday, March the 10th. Before you know it, it's going to be graduation time. Now, do you have a graduate in your life? High school, college, trade school, whatever it may be. You have a graduate coming up this spring that you want to celebrate. Get your reservations right now at Supper Club. Do not wait. I was talking to Chef Layton last week. They are already booking graduation parties for May. It is the beginning of March. I know it's 2 months away. It's not too early to start thinking about it. Don't think, it's 2 weeks to graduation. Let's start calling around. Let's see if we can get in a Supper Club. They're going to be booked. So I'm here to be a little in your face. SupperClubBTR.com. Do it right now. Book your graduation party at Supper Club.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.